Hey, my friends. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Denise. I'm also known as heywigsister on Instagram and Facebook. Today I'm here for a brief wig chat. I always say quick or brief, and they never turn out that way, but this one may because I'm holding my phone instead of putting it on a tripod, and I can't probably hold it for terribly long, so we'll see how it goes. But I wanted to come to you guys today and talk with you about the wig wearing journey when you're single and the challenges that you may be facing with hair loss and being single. And I know this is a huge challenge for many of my wig sisters. I see the comments, I see the posts on Facebook and on Instagram, and my heart just goes out to you if you're living through that challenge right now. And I just wanted to maybe tell my story and give you guys a little bit of encouragement. I don't have a solution for you. I don't have, the perfect answer and all of your challenges with this will be solved. But what I can do is I can empathize. I can tell you that you are not alone. And maybe we have wig sisters watching this video who'd be willing to leave a comment, either of just encouragement and prayers or their own experience and maybe what they did to get through it. So if this is something that you're interested in hearing about and possibly commenting on, then please stick around for the rest of this hopefully short video. And so let's just get right into it. So let me first start with my story. So I started losing my hair in my 20s, and obviously when you're young and it's a slow hair loss like I had, I didn't have like a sudden alopecia and didn't lose all of my hair at once or huge clumps of hair. And so over time, I just started to notice that my hair was getting thinner. And I met my first husband, so my kid's dad. All three of my children have the same father. And so I met him when I was 23. And so I really didn't have much hair loss at that time. It really wasn't an issue. It just became an issue slowly over the course of our marriage. And so in 2008, unfortunately, our marriage ended for a variety of reasons. And maybe someday I'll talk about that here because it's a really tragic story, in my opinion. And I think my experience could help some people. But unfortunately, I can't share that at this time until my kids are older because my story is their story as well. And so I don't really want to tell it until they're a bit older and they agree that it's okay for me to tell it. But just suffice it to say that it was really tragic, and our marriage ended after just about 12 years, and my kids were really, really little, and it was a really, really hard time. My mom died the same year, as a matter of fact, and it was just a tough year. But at the same time, as all that had been, as that marriage ended, and I was faced with being about 35 years old with 3 littles. My oldest was 9, and then my youngest was about, a little over a year old when things really, really fell apart. And by the time we were actually divorced, he was about 2. And so it was really a tough time for me. And I was not in a good place mentally or emotionally. I mean, my mom had been diagnosed with colon cancer, and she died 6 weeks later. And she was my daycare as well as my mom and my support. It was awful. So the last thing on my mind really was dating or any of those things. But I did kind of wonder if anybody would ever find me attractive, if I'd ever find someone again. I just felt really low. And then on top of that, I had hair loss that had accelerated a lot. At this point, I was about 35, and I was using Topic powder to cover my hair loss and various hairstyling techniques. And so I think I could do a pretty good job of covering it up in normal conditions. Normal meaning like sitting here like I am now, or going to an office, possibly, going out with friends. But I couldn't I couldn't go out on a windy day without worrying about it. I couldn't ever go to the beach. I couldn't, if it was going to be someplace where I was going to get hot and sweaty. I mean, I constantly had to be thinking about, is somebody going to be able to tell that I'm losing my hair? Is somebody going to be able to see my scalp? Is my Topic powder going to blow around or come off? I mean, it was just a constant thought of mine. And I met my husband, and obviously I didn't know he was going to be my husband at the time, but then I had a whole new thing to worry about. I was now worried, how do I tell him? Do I tell him? What do I say? And so I wasn't wearing wigs at the time. I was just using Topic powder and, wearing lots of headbands, wearing lots of hats. I would buy those little kind of fake hair scrunchies that you can wrap around a ponytail to make it into sort of a messy bun, or to give it the appearance of thicker hair. And I would do those things. But, I just didn't even know how to approach the subject at all. And one day, we'd been seeing each other for a little while now. And one day I was still going through a really hard time for a few years after my mom died. So she died in July of 2008. And I mean, it would hit me at times that, just out of the blue, I would suddenly think of her and just start crying. I mean, it was just such a difficult thing to experience. And I remember one time I had been really upset and I'd been crying, and I never wanted him to see me cry. I'm not good at showing those kinds of emotions to other people. I just always want to be upbeat and happy, and I typically am, but I just hated showing that, especially as time progressed. And she'd been gone for a while. I felt as though I should be moving on. And so he came over one night after the kids had gone to bed, and he could tell that I'd been crying. And, I had worked earlier in the day, so I had my hair done, and, my Topic powder was on and all of that. And I rested my head sort of on his shoulder, and he put his cheek on my head and just, was comforting me. And when some of you know where this is going, I lifted my head up, and when I turned to look at him, he had powder on his cheek. And I was mortified. I just was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? How do I get that off of him? I mean, it was just horrible. And there were so many occasions back then where I was in embarrassing kind of situations where I just didn't know how to broach the topic. So one day I just finally told him. I just said, I just want you to know that I'm losing my hair and I'm using powder to hide it. I just sort of blurted it out. And he's just like, okay, your hair always looks beautiful. I mean, it just didn't even faze him. He didn't say anything. And from then on, it was just not a thing. And then, as I obviously, we progressed and we got married, and but I think about that now when I hear people talk about their struggles. And I totally understand. I understand, we already feel such shame about our hair loss, or like we're less than, we don't feel pretty. There's so many emotions that go along with having hair loss. And then if you are wearing wigs, or maybe you aren't wearing wigs yet, but that they're probably in your future, and it just adds, it's sort of like salt to the wound, and it just makes everything so complicated. And while I can't tell you how to broach the topic with someone or what exactly you should say, what I can say is there is an opportunity here to see this as a blessing. And I'm being really serious. I know it may not feel like a blessing, but here's what I see. An opportunity for you to see what this person is made of. Where is this person's heart? How careful are they going to be with yours? How caring are they going to be with you in a situation that is very difficult for you? A lot of us don't have something happen when we're in a relationship with someone, especially if you're a little bit older, like I was with kids. I wasn't going to be dating. I wasn't looking for, short-lived fun or one night stands or just anything. I was not even really even looking for a marriage or a relationship. God just blessed me with him, and that's another whole story. But we often don't have those opportunities. So the first time we have an opportunity to find out what this man is made of, or whoever it is in your life. I don't know if I have men watching who may be dating a woman and afraid to tell her about hair loss, but it's your one opportunity to really find out how this person is going to care about you, care for you, show you compassion, and be a good person. And so instead of worrying about what they're going to think, how they're going to react, are they still going to like you, I encourage you to pray about this if you pray, and certainly spend time getting kind of your head right around it. But I encourage you to see this as an opportunity to know early on if this is someone you want to spend any more time with. Because if they react negatively to this, if they can't show you compassion over something like this, like my husband always says to our kids when we're at dinner and we're talking with them, if you can't handle the little stuff, you're never going to be able to handle the big stuff. And if this person can't be compassionate and just like, so what about this? What happens if something bigger comes along? What happens if you get really sick? What happens if you go through a really tough time mentally and emotionally, and you battle depression or anxiety or something that impacts your day-to-day life that makes it hard for you to put one foot in front of the other? I just think that if you look at it that way, it might not be such a big, scary thing, almost like a blessing that you can, I don't know if this person's worth any more of your time. So I just encourage you to maybe pray about that, think about it that way, and kind of think about how you would want someone to tell you. And then just do that. And I pray that this is a good person that's with you because of you and not because of how you look or some other reason. But even if they are, even if their reasons aren't true and they don't come through this well, at least and you won't have invested any more of yourself in them and in this relationship and wasted another second worrying about this. Because it does steal from you so much when it just takes all of your energy, all of your thought processes, all of your emotions, and it colors every single interaction you have with this person. And if that's happening to you right now, I think the sooner you can say something and know where you stand and know what the next step should be for you, the better and the easier things will be. So I encourage you, and I'm going to pray for my wig sisters who are struggling with this. If I can pray for you specifically and you want to put that in the comments, please do. I know we have other praying wig sisters on here who would happily pray for you as well. But anyway, that's just my thought on this. It was sort of a rambling way to get there, but I think it's important that you know sort of my story and know that you're not alone, but also know that we make things bigger than they really need to be. Or sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees. We can't see the blessing in a situation until someone points it out to us. And it may be hard for you to believe that hair loss could be a blessing, but I'm here to tell you that it is. I feel blessed every day that I'm able to do this right now with you, and I have people who will watch it. I have wig sisters who reach out to me. I've met wig sisters in person. I've met sisters in Christ that have helped deepen and strengthen my own faith. None of that would have happened without hair loss. So there is good to be had out of this. We just got to look for it in a different way sometimes. So let me know if this helped you, if it was stupid, but it's my heart. So that's what I have for you guys today. I love you guys, and I hope you're doing well, and I will absolutely pray for my wig sisters who are struggling with this. I'll talk to you guys soon.